I know I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this all season long. Stephanie White is not Caitlin Clark-Field Jackson. She's Doc Rivers. And for whatever reason, she don't want to take responsibility for her actions. Hell, we heard even Natalie. Natalie threw some shots at the Fever last night. But even Natalie in a press conference before that took responsibility for her coaching errors. I never, ever heard.
The Golden State Valkyrie game against Indiana Fever has drawn serious scrutiny, particularly around the coaching decisions made down the stretch. The case management was widely considered a disaster. Everyone could see Aaliyah Boston was the target on every possession, while other players stood open in the corners with nobody guarding them. On top of that, the officiating played a significant role in how things unfolded. The contrast between two coaches became a central talking point after the game. Las Vegas Aces head coach Becky Hammond stepped to the podium and held nothing back.
I never, ever heard Stephanie White take any errors or take responsibility for her coaching errors, because we all know she has errors in her artillery. We all know there is some, let's just say, not bulletproof seams in that vest when it comes to now. I mean, when it comes to Stephanie White, bro. I mean, Stephanie White, to me, is going to be the worst decision for the.
She publicly called out the free throw disparity, pointing out that a Valkyrie player shot more free throws than Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, and Kennedy Carter combined. She closed her statement with a blunt challenge to the league: hand out the fine. That kind of accountability and fire was noticeably absent from the Fever side. Stephanie White's press conference lasted roughly 4 minutes. There was no pushback on the officiating, no acknowledgement of strategic errors, and no mention of a blatant flopping incident that directly impacted the game. A play where a player's head dramatically flew back on minimal contact, drawing a call that swung momentum.
It's going to be the worst decision for the season. I mean, her remaining being the coach, bro, is going to cost the Fever a championship. I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it right now. I lost all faith in Stephanie White. The little faith I had left, because I lost faith last year, but the little faith that I had left is gone, man. It's just gone. And I see a lot of people trying to beat up on Caitlin Clark because she messed up at the end of the game. Okay. Something I will say about CC is that CC needs to stop letting the referee.
White's responses focused on shot quality and opponent athleticism, offering little in the way of honest reflection. This pattern not new. Have grown accustomed to White deflecting. Even rivals have shown more willingness to stand at the microphone and say plainly that something went wrong on their end.
To stop letting the referees throw her off her game. I don't know what it is. I think Caitlin Clark is so damn mad, and like sometimes she lose focus of like what's going on, and like she just get thrown off. And she's probably mad that the referees did that dumb stuff at the end. Veronica Burton was on some other ish, we know, but I feel like Caitlin Clark just got to calm down and just don't let these referees throw you off your game. I've seen a lot.
White has not demonstrated that same accountability through the course of her tenure, and that absence is becoming a louder story with each close loss. As for Caitlin Clark, the conversation around her shooting struggles needs some separation from the noise. Multiple defenders were rotated onto her, different matchups, different coverages, switch after switch. But the general read from those watching closely is that the defensive variety alone did not knock her off her game. What did appear to affect her rhythm was the physicality going uncalled.
Down and just Don't let these referees throw you off your game. I seen a lot of you guys saying that in the comment section, but we gonna move past that and we gonna get right into this video, man. I know I went on a little rant, man, but I am scoring with this one, guys. I ain't lying. I am just scoring with this game. Now, Caitlin Clark did make history last night, but we have to talk about this right here, and that is none other than Becky Hammond setting the record straight. Becky Hammond went out like a G, and she say, "Find me."
One particular sequence involving Veronica Burton drew sharp attention. Clark visibly lost composure at moments, letting frustration with the officiating bleed into her decision-making and shot selection. That mental reset, staying locked in regardless of what the referees do, is something she needs to sharpen. Aliyah Boston addressed the officiating in her own press conference with more candor than her head coach.
Hey, and she say, "Find me." That's what Becky Hammond said. Listen to Becky Hammond, y'all.
The other thing, I mean, Asia Wilson shoots 1 free throw, Kennedy Carter 0, Jackie Young 0. I'm fucking tired of that bullshit. I'm not saying they didn't earn their 22 down there, but when Walker Ware shoots more free throws than Asia Wilson and Jackie Young and Kennedy Carter all combined, that's a problem. And we're not getting the same whistle. All right, give me my fine.
Now, this is crazy coming from Becky Hammond a year later, because we know.
She noted that charge fouls were being called even when defenders were not in legal position, and gave credit to the Valkyries for selling contact effectively. It was a straightforward read of what happened on the floor. The broader concern heading into the rest of the season is whether the Fever's coaching structure can hold up under the weight of close games. The talent on the roster, Clark included, who made history in this very game, is capable enough to compete for a championship.
A year later, because we know the Aces had the best whistle in the W. We all could agree with that. The Aces has the best whistle. This year, don't look like they got that whistle no more. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just saying Becky Hammond went out on her shield. You know, like with combat sports, you supposed to go out on your shield. That's what Becky Hammond did today. I mean, yesterday. She went.
But the gap between that talent and what the coaching staff is drawing up at critical moments is becoming harder to ignore with each passing week. Another WNBA season has brought a fresh wave of media criticism aimed at Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark, this time from former ESPN personality Kari Champion, who departed the network several years ago and has since moved through various media ventures with limited success. Champion, now hosting a podcast called Flagrant and Funny alongside Jameli Hill, used the platform to take aim at Clark and what she described as preferential treatment from league officials and referees. The accusations have drawn sharp pushback from those who see the situation very differently.
I mean, yesterday, she went out on her shield, bro. And she definitely let it be known. Find me, I don't give a F. Now, there was a play that took place in the Indiana Fever game. A very, 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 very controversial play. And this is the play right here. Now, Aliyah Boston spoke about this play in a presser, which we're going to listen to the presser in a minute. But look at this play. This is clearly a flop. Look, her head flop over.
The controversy stems partly from a recent game between the Fever and the Golden State Valkyries, in which Clark had multiple exchanges with veteran wing Tiffany Hayes. The incident drew further attention after Hayes engaged with social media users who seemed to encourage physical confrontations with Clark. A post many interpreted as a call for violence, which Hayes appeared to endorse. Champion also pointed to a moment from last season when Clark went viral for telling a referee to pay attention. She compared that incident favorably to a technical foul recently issued to Dallas star Paige Buchers, who apparently received the call simply for clapping, a call some felt was nearly identical to situations where Clark had faced no such punishment.
Well, Carrie Champion, last I saw Carrie Champion, she was getting her ass handed to her on CNN by Scott Jennings. Yeah, in one of those roundtable shows that they got where Scott Jennings goes in and just goes nuclear and scorches all of them in wonderful fashion. Hell, I should have reached out to Scott, asked him if he wanted to make this video with me, for crying out loud. I'm sure he might have got a real kick out of it. Carrie Champion is accusing the WNBA refs of favoritism towards Caitlin Clark. She is
Notably, Clark herself received a technical.
She is calling her entitled. The league where black lesbians had kicked the shit out of Caitlin Clark for now into the third year, they're calling Caitlin Clark entitled. Okay. You can't make this shit up, but here we are. Awful announcing. You got that right. You got it right. By the way, she said this on some podcast.
She stated on the podcast that the favoritism, as she sees it, is deeply frustrating, adding that she does not know whether Clark herself is responsible, but questioning why she continues to receive what Champion calls special treatment. Then went further, saying that watching Clark has left her with a negative personal impression, particularly around how Clark interacts with coaches and referees, which Champion described as entitlement. She argued that if Clark wants to embrace that kind of aggressive persona, then she should be prepared to face criticism on equal terms, just as other athletes have been held accountable. Champion cited multiple players, including Nafisa Collier, Paige Buchers, Aja Wilson, Serena Williams, and LeBron James, as examples of high-profile athletes who have also faced scrutiny but handled the pressure without crossing certain lines.
You got it right. By the way, she said this on some podcast that she's got, and I'm just going to keep it real. Where are you in life if you're listening to a Carrie Champion podcast? That's all I want to know. Holy hell. My God. You have to be the oldest of oldest, miserable of WNBA fans to be listening to that. And I think she covers all sports. I'm sure. I don't know. Who knows? It's probably one big race baiting show.
She and Hill both agreed that someone, whether the Fever coaching staff or the NBA commissioner, needs to have a direct conversation with Clark before the situation grows. The problem with this framing, according to a large portion of sports media and fans, is that it inverts the actual record. Many commentators have argued consistently that Clark has in fact been subjected to a higher level of physical play than other stars in the league, with referees historically allowing more contact against her rather than less. Critics of Champion's position argue that the league has been slow to act on incidents involving Clark, not overly protective of her.
Race baiting show. A recent string of controversies around the Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark has longtime sports commentator Carrie Champion sounding the alarm on what she sees as, quote, blatant favoritism from the refs and the league towards its supernova. During a game last week against Golden State Valkyries, Clark got into several dust-ups with veteran wing Tiffany Hayes, which later came.
There have even been documented periods where the Fever's own social media accounts went more than 48 hours without mentioning Clark, the biggest individual draw in women's basketball, seemingly treating her as an afterthought on her own team's platforms. From this opposing viewpoint, Clark's increasingly visible frustration pushing back against referees, showing more on-court assertiveness, is less a sign of entitlement and more a direct response to being repeatedly targeted with no meaningful institutional support. The argument goes that she attempted a quieter, more reserved approach early on, and it changed nothing, leaving her with little choice but to advocate for herself more loudly. The debate reflects a broader tension in how Clark's presence in the league is interpreted, depending on who is doing the interpreting, with very little middle ground emerging between the two camps.
With veteran wing Tiffany Hayes, which later came under more scrutiny after Hayes engaged with fans online that encouraged further confrontations with Clark. You notice how they put that? No. She engaged with them about actual, it sounded like group beatings. Oh, I got some cousins, plural, and we can ride out. What do we think that means? Of course we know what that means. It's a call for violence. Tiffany Hayes called for violence. Tiffany Hayes co-signed it, period. She did. That led Cari Champion to recall an incident last season in which Clark went viral for telling a referee to open their eyes, to which Champion compared with recent technical foul for Dallas star Paige Bueckers, which seemingly was called simply because Bueckers clapped. On top of that, didn't Caitlin Clark get a technical just a couple of weeks ago because she clapped or something like that? I can't remember exactly what happened. A couple of weeks ago because she clapped or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I thought it was a damn quick. Remember, they were going into half and they got her on a tech for something? I don't know. On top of that, Clark was quite dismissive of the controversy around her late scratch for her home game last week, for which the WNBA issued Indiana a warning for breaking injury reporting rules. In total, Champion believes that while there are some issues that can be chalked up to growing pains for the young star athlete, understandable frustration with intense media scrutiny, the pattern suggests preferential treatment towards Clark that other stars do not enjoy. Are you shitting me? Wow. What? Quote, that type of blatant favoritism annoys the hell out of me, she said on her Flagrant and Funny podcast. Again, if you're listening to that, oh my God, Jamel Hill's on this podcast with her?